Dear listeners, welcome to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the annals of time to unravel the mysteries of our collective past. Today we find ourselves standing at the threshold of one of the most pivotal and brutal conflicts in the history of warfare, the Battle of Rzhev. This series of battles, fought during the Second World War, would test the mettle of two titans, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. As we delve into the origins of this epic struggle, let us first set our stage. The year is 1941, and the world is ablaze with conflict. The German army, under the command of Adolf Hitler, has launched Operation Barbarossa, a massive invasion of Soviet territory that aims to capture Moscow and shatter the Soviet Union's ability to resist. This campaign, which began on June 22, 1941, would eventually become one of the largest and bloodiest military operations in history. The Soviet forces, led by Joseph Stalin, are determined to defend their motherland against the Nazi onslaught. We find ourselves in the midst of a frozen landscape, where the Soviet Union's western border stretches across the vast expanse of Eastern Europe. The city of Rzhev, situated on the banks of the Volga River, is a strategic stronghold that controls access to the Moscow-Smolensk highway. This vital artery of transportation would prove crucial in the war effort, as it connects the Soviet capital to the Western Front. The earliest history of the Battle of Rzhev begins in the autumn of 1941, when German forces, comprising of the 3rd and 4th Panzer Armies, launched a rapid advance on Moscow. The Soviet army, reeling from the initial onslaught, struggled to maintain a cohesive defense. As the winter of 1941-42 set in, the Soviet forces regrouped and launched a series of counterattacks aimed at pushing the Germans back and relieving the pressure on Moscow. One such counterattack, led by General Georgy Zhukov, would ultimately give rise to the Battle of Rzhev. On January 8, 1942, Zhukov's forces launched a surprise assault on the German lines, aiming to drive a wedge between the 3rd and 4th Panzer Armies. The attack caught the Germans off guard, and initially, they were forced to retreat. However, as the battle raged on, the Germans regrouped and counterattacked, sparking a brutal and protracted conflict that would last for months. The Rzhev salient, which stretches for over 100 kilometers, is a vulnerable point in the German lines, and the Soviet army sees an opportunity to exploit this weakness. The salient is also a crucial supply route for the German army, providing access to the vital Moscow-Smolensk highway. As the Soviet forces launch their counterattack, they face fierce resistance from the German army, which is determined to hold on to this strategic territory. The battle is fought in brutal conditions, with temperatures plummeting to 40 degrees Celsius and snowdrifts reaching as high as 3 meters. The Soviet army, however, is better adapted to these conditions, having developed specialized winter gear and tactics. The German army, on the other hand, struggles to cope with the harsh Russian winter, which proves to be a formidable foe. As we conclude our examination of the earliest history of the Battle of Rzhev, we find ourselves poised on the cusp of a pivotal moment in the conflict. The stage is set for a clash of titans, as two mighty armies engage in a struggle that will leave an indelible mark on the course of human history. Join me as we venture deeper into the fray and uncover the trials and triumphs of those who fought for their lives and their nations in the blood-soaked fields of Rzhev. Dear listeners, welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we continue our journey through the annals of time to unravel the mysteries of the Battle of Rzhev. As we delve into the heart of the battle, it becomes clear that the Rzhev salient is a critical weak point in the German lines. The Soviet army, led by General Georgy Zhukov, sees an opportunity to exploit this weakness and launches a series of counterattacks aimed at pushing the Germans back and relieving the pressure on Moscow. The German army, however, is determined to hold on to this strategic territory, and the two forces engage in a fierce and bloody struggle. The battle rages on for months, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The Soviet army, better adapted to the harsh Russian winter, uses its specialized winter gear and tactics to great effect. The German army, on the other hand, struggles to cope with the extreme cold and snow drifts that reach as high as 3 meters. Despite these challenges, the Germans refuse to yield, and the battle becomes a war of attrition, with both sides trading blows and neither gaining the upper hand. One of the most significant events during this period is the Soviet counterattack launched on February 8, 1942, which aims to encircle and destroy the German Ninth Army. The attack is led by General Zhukov himself, who commands a force of over 200,000 soldiers. The Germans, however, are well prepared and put up fierce resistance. The battle rages on for weeks, with both sides suffering heavy losses, but ultimately, the Soviet army emerges victorious, having encircled and destroyed several German divisions. The significance of this victory cannot be overstated. The Soviet army has not only relieved the pressure on Moscow, but has also gained a strategic advantage over the Germans. The Rzhev salient, once a weak point in the German lines, has become a launching pad for future Soviet offensives. The battle has also shown that the Soviet army is capable of adapting to the harsh Russian winter and using its specialized gear and tactics to great effect. As we explore this pivotal moment in the conflict, it becomes clear that the Battle of Rzhev is not just a military struggle, but also a test of endurance and willpower. The soldiers on both sides face unimaginable hardships, from extreme cold and hunger to injuries and death. Yet, they persevere, driven by their loyalty to their countries and their comrades. The battle also has significant implications for the future of the war. The Soviet victory at Rzhev marks a turning point in the conflict, as the Germans begin to lose momentum and the Soviets gain the initiative. The battle sets the stage for future Soviet offensives, including the Battle of Stalingrad, which will ultimately decide the fate of the war. Join me as we continue our journey through the annals of time, uncovering the trials and triumphs of those who fought for their lives and their nations in the blood-soaked fields of Rzhev. Dear listeners, welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we continue our journey through the annals of time to unravel the mysteries of the Battle of Rzhev. As the spring of 1943 approaches, the Soviet army, led by General Georgy Zhukov, launches a series of decisive attacks aimed at pushing the Germans back and securing a crucial victory. The German army, however, refuses to yield, and the battle becomes a war of attrition, with both sides trading blows and suffering heavy losses. The Rzhev salient, once a weak point in the German lines, has become a launching pad for Soviet offensives, and the Germans are determined to hold on to this strategic territory at all costs. One of the most significant events during this period is the Soviet operation code-named Buffalo, launched on March 1, 1943. This massive assault involves over 300,000 Soviet soldiers who attack the German lines with a ferocity that catches the enemy off guard. The Germans, however, are well entrenched and put up fierce resistance, and the battle rages on for weeks, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Despite the challenges, the Soviet army emerges victorious, having pushed the Germans back and secured a crucial victory. The Battle of Rzhev comes to an end on March 31, 1943, with the Soviet army having suffered over 400,000 casualties, but having also inflicted significant damage on the German army. The battle marks a turning point in the conflict, as the Germans begin to lose momentum and the Soviets gain the initiative. As we explore the aftermath of the battle, it becomes clear that the consequences are far-reaching. The Soviet victory at Rzhev sets the stage for future offensives, including the Battle of Kursk, which will ultimately decide the fate of the war. The battle also has a profound impact on the soldiers who fought in it, with many suffering from physical and psychological trauma that will haunt them for the rest of their lives. The Battle of Rzhev also has significant implications for the war as a whole. The Soviet victory marks a shift in the balance of power, as the Germans begin to lose control of the Eastern Front. The battle also highlights the importance of adaptability and resilience, as the Soviet army is able to adjust its tactics and strategies to overcome the challenges posed by the harsh Russian winter. As we conclude our exploration of the Battle of Rzhev, it becomes clear that this epic struggle is a testament to the bravery and sacrifice of the soldiers who fought in it. The battle may be lesser known than some other conflicts of World War II, but its significance cannot be overstated. It marks a turning point in the war, as the Soviets gain the initiative and the Germans begin to lose momentum. Join me as we continue our journey through the annals of time, uncovering the trials and triumphs of those who fought for their lives and their nations in the blood-soaked fields of Rzhev. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.